The next aspect of homeostasis is excretion, and excretion is the removal from the body of the waste products of metabolism. The term is generally taken to mean nitrogenous waste such as urea and ammonia, but other materials like carbon dioxide are also waste products of metabolism. However, in this section, we will confine ourselves to the nitrogenous waste products. So, excretion in plants and excretion in plants involves water, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and some different ions. Water is removed by two processes. The first is transpiration and the second is guttation. Transpiration is the phenomenon in which the plant loses excess water through the stomata in vapor form, whereas in guttation, the plant loses excess water through special pores called hydrothores in liquid form. We have discussed it earlier. Guttation takes place in those plants where more water being taken up into the plant than can be removed by evaporation, and the phenomenon of guttation takes place in mesophytes. Gases during day, plant excrete large amounts of oxygen because they perform the phenomena of photosynthesis, and during night plant excrete carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is produced in the respiration. And also some excess ions combine with the organic compounds, and they are deposited in the dead cells like the heartwood and the bark. There is a question that why excretion does not pose problem in plants as compared to the animals, and why plant does not have any organ of excretion as compared to animals, as animals have a complete system of excretion like kidneys, etc. So here are the reasons, but before discussing these reasons, we firstly define metabolism. So metabolism is a chemical reaction that takes place in the body, and there are two types of metabolism. The first is catabolism and the second is anabolism. Catabolism is a phenomenon in which a bigger molecule break down into smaller molecules, and anabolism is a process in which smaller molecules combine to form a bigger molecule. So in plants, rate of catabolic process is slow as compared to the animals. As the process is slow, the waste products are less, but also green plants use their catabolic waste products in anabolism. And also green plants recycle their nitrogenous waste products as compared to the animals. There is another important point that the mostly plants have carbohydrate based metabolism as compared to the animals. The carbohydrate based metabolism the end products are less harmful and water and carbon dioxide, whereas in plants the metabolism is protein based, and the end products of protein based metabolism are highly toxic like ammonia. So these are the reasons we can say that the plants do not possess any organ exclusively for the excretion. We have covered the topic of excretion in plants. Now excretion in animals. As we have discussed that the metabolism in animals is mostly protein based, and these protein based metabolism are excreted in the form of nitrogenous waste products like ammonia, urea, uric acid, and creatinine hypoxanthine. And these nitrogenous waste products we will discuss in detail. The first is ammonia. Ammonia is a small gaseous molecule and the chemical formula is NH3. It is a polar molecule, so can be dissolved in water, and it is a highly toxic molecule, and if remained in the body for a longer time, it can eventually lead to death of the organism. It is excreted by the aquatic animals. As it is highly soluble in water, especially the freshwater animals. The advantages of ammonia is that it requires no energy for excretion, and it can rapidly diffuse for the cell membranes like body surfaces. The disadvantage is that it's a highly toxic molecule, and if it is remained in the body for a longer time, so it can lead to death of the body, and it requires a large quantity of water for excretion. So the animals which are found in water, they excrete ammonia as they have a large supply of water. The second is urea. Urea is an organic waste product, and it is less soluble than ammonia. As it is less soluble than ammonia, so it is excreted by the terrestrial animals as they cannot afford excess water excretion. The advantage is that it is less toxic than ammonia, and the disadvantage is that it requires energy for conversion of ammonia to urea. The third one is the uric acid, and uric acid is a large molecule of chemical formula of C5O3 N4 H4, and it is excreted by the terrestrial animals like reptiles, birds and insects because uric acid is less soluble than urea. It is produced as a colloidal. Uric acid is produced as a colloidal substance. Further water absorption results in the crystallization of the urates, and what passes out is a semi-solid sludge in the form of thick paste or solid pellets, well known to anyone who has walked on the roads and streets. Advantage is that it requires less water for excretion as compared to the ammonia and uric acid, so it is excreted by the birds, reptiles and insects. Disadvantage is that uric acid formation requires energy. Ammonia, when converted to urea, requires energy, and when urea is converted into uric acid, it also requires energy. These are the examples of the excretion in animals like Hydra, Planaria, earthworm, cockroach, and a human being. So let's discuss this. As Hydra are found in the water, so the excretory product is ammonia, and ammonia is removed from the body by simple diffusion process. As Hydra have diploplastic organization, they have two cell layers, ectoderm and endoderm. So the ammonia which is present inside the body is removed from the body to outside by simple process of diffusion. Excretion in planaria requires a little bit description. So this is the figure of planaria, and it is a flat form. It is found as a free living as well as a parasite. These are the two longitudinal tubules present, and these tubules consist of many cells called flame cells or protonephridia. The flame cells or protonephridia are the excretory organs of planaria, and they are bathed in tissue fluid. Here is the tissue fluid present. So the flame cells bears a tuft of cilia which beat in a manner like flickering flame, just like the flame flickers, hence the term called flame cells. As the interstitial fluid enters the flame cell, here is the figure showing, as the tissue fluid enters the flame cells, the flame cell pushes this tissue fluid into the tubules. And as the fluid is pushing towards the tubules, the excretory product are excreted out from the body. But before excretion, the water is being reabsorbed if it is required by the body, by the tubules. So here is the text showing that excretory organ is flame cell or protonephridia, and they are bathed in the tissue fluid. Each flame cell is hollow inside and bears a tuft of cilia which beat in a manner like flickering flame, hence the term called flame cells. Water along with ammonia is a nitrogenous waste product, diffused from the tissue fluid into the lumen of the flame cells, and the beating of cilia propels this solution into the excretory canal. Here is the excretory canal, and water is reabsorbed if required by the organism, and the rest of the excretory fluid is passed in the form of hypotonic solutions. Thus the flame cell mainly works as osmoregulation, and most of the metabolic waste products are removed from body surfaces, or they can excreted in gut, which is removed through the mouth. Also, some parasitic platforms have isotonic body fluids as compared to the host. So in these type of organisms, the flame cells perform the function of only excretion. Because they have isotonic body fluids, there is no regulation like there is no osmoregulation because they have isotonic body fluids. Excretion in earthworm. Excretory organs of earthworm consist of unbranched coiled tubules called metanephridia. This is the figure of earthworm, and below this figure is the cross section of earthworm showing inside of it. These are the segments of earthworm. Because the body of earthworm is divided into different segments, so it is also called segmented worm. The body cavity of earthworm is called coelom, and the fluid present inside the coelom is called coelomic fluid. Each segment consists of metanephridia, which are the excretory organs of earthworm bathed in coelomic fluid. Metanephridia consist of two pores. The first is nephrostome, which is inner pore present here, and nephridiopore, which is present on the outer skin here. Nephridiopore, which is present on the outer skin. It also consists of collecting tubules and capillary network. Excretory mechanism is that the coelomic fluid enters through nephrostome, go into the collecting tubules where water and salts are reabsorbed by the capillary network. The rest of the fluid, called urine, is excreted out through the nephridiopore out of the body. Also, an important point I would like to highlight here is that if this is the first compartment, this is the second compartment, and this is the third compartment. The nephrostome of first compartment is present in the second compartment. The nephrostome of the second compartment is present in the third compartment. Similarly, the nephrostome of the third compartment is present in the fourth compartment, and so on. So the point is that each compartment is not cleaned by itself, but by the next compartment adjacent to it. So here is the text that excretory organs of earthworm consist of unbranched coiled tubules called metanephridia, and metanephridia are segmentally arranged and are immersed in the coelomic fluid. Each nephridium is surrounded by a network of blood capillaries. The metanephridium is open at both ends. The inner opening is called nephrostome. Nephrostome is present here, and the outer opening is known as nephridiopore, which is located on the skin surface. Before it opens to the outside, the nephridium dilates to form a bladder. This is shown here. The nephridiopore, before it opens outside, it dilates to form a bladder, and the cilia of the nephrostome pump the coelomic fluid into the excretory tubule. This is the nephrostome, and the cilia present on the nephrostome propels the coelomic fluid to go inside into the collecting tubules. So during the passage through the tubule, selective reabsorption of the ions takes place, like glucose, salts, water, and the remaining fluid forms the urine, which is passed out through the nephridiopore out of the body. Excretion in cockroach. The excretory organs of cockroach consist of long blind tubules called Malpighian tubules. This is the cross section of a cockroach showing Malpighian tubules here in between the midgut and the hindgut. Malpighian tubules are immersed in a body fluid called hemolymph, and Malpighian tubules absorb this hemolymph along with some solutes and water and transports it to the latter part of the tubule, where selective reabsorption of the water and solutes takes place, and the nitrogenous waste products like uric acid is discharged into the rectum. Inside the rectum, the water is again reabsorbed if it is required by the body, and as a result of this, the uric acid becomes very thick and it is discharged out of the body along with feces. So here is the text that the Malpighian tubules are attached to the alimentary canal at the junction of the midgut and hindgut, and they are immersed in hemolymph. The cells of Malpighian tubules absorb excretory waste material along with some useful substances and water from the hemolymph. Then in the latter part of the tubule, reabsorption of the water and useful substances occurs. Uric acid is discharged into the rectum where more water is reabsorbed, and as a result of this, the uric acid becomes almost very dry and it is passed out along with the feces. So we have concluded our section here. The excretion in man is a detailed topic, and we will discuss this topic in the later section.